You are in the ladies' room with Dr. Donica, the only public ladies' room you can enter anytime without ever waiting online. I'm your host, Dr. Donica Moore. We'll be having real conversations with real women about really intimate issues. They may be embarrassing, sad, or funny, but they will always be interesting and informative. You know, like the best conversations you've had in ladies' rooms with your best friends, or total strangers and a physician. Please join us.
Welcome to the ladies' room, everyone. Today we have a very, very special guest. And when I first started doing this podcast, this was literally one of the first people I wanted to invite to do this podcast. Did you ever have that experience where you meet another woman and just immediately know you wanted to be her BFF? Now, that rarely happens for me. But when I did meet our next guest, when she was producing a satellite media tour I just immediately gravitated towards her energy, her intelligence, her depth. And so naturally, when I decided to launch this podcast, she's one of the first women I wanted to invite. Her name is Laura DeAngelis, and she's widely known as Fitness Laura. Fitness Laura is a fitfluencer and the founder of LauraLovesFitness.com, which is a healthy lifestyle blog. She is somebody who walks the talk. She is a woman on a mission to help people make choices to make them feel their best at any age. A New York native, one of the many things we have in common. She holds fitness certifications with the National Academy of Sports Medicine as a personal trainer and fitness nutrition specialist, and is certified as a group exercise instructor with the Aerobics and Fitness Association of America. Now in her 40s, and I think I was authorized to reveal that, Laura believes that one of the most valuable life lessons she's learned is that following a healthy lifestyle means so much more than getting in 60 minutes of cardio every day. 60 minutes? What happened to 30 minutes? If you read her blog, I'm always negotiating with the fitness instructors. If you read her blog, though, you'll learn that she believes in making healthy living choices, and this involves making mindful food choices, because as my mantra is, you can't out-train a bad diet, but also getting enough sleep and taking mental health breaks. And she also likes to take vacation breaks. It also involves finding the strength to let go of the negative habits and the choices that haven't made your life as fulfilling as it could be. In recent years, you may have caught Laura offering tips on everything from healthy snacking to ways to find the right sports bra. Now, that's an important topic that we should be talking about. On numerous TV shows, including Coffee with America and WNBC's TV's New York Live. She earned her bachelor's and master's degree from Northwestern University's Medill School of Journalism and has 20 years of media experience as a broadcast journalist and producer in corporate communications. She's held several reporting and anchor positions and has won several Telly Awards, several Emmy nominations from the Boston, New England chapter of the National Television Academy, as well as too many others to list. But the main reason that Laura is here today is to talk about her work as a breast cancer awareness advocate and warrior. And we're going to have many women coming on to talk about breast cancer from many different perspectives over the course of the next year. But I thought it was really important to start with somebody who is an awareness and early diagnosis advocate. Now, she literally walks the talk. She has walked 157.2, don't forget the 0.2, miles as a participant in 4 Avon 39 walks to end breast cancer. She uses every opportunity to help other women in their fight against this disease that affected several important women in her life. And then, just for fun, we're going to talk about another favorite topic of mine. And Laura and I have enjoyed discussing this over the past few years, and that's dating after divorce, especially for women over 40. So with that introduction, welcome to the ladies' room, Laura.
Hey, Donica, it is so wonderful to be here. And thank you for that beautiful, wonderful introduction. You're fabulous.
It's all true.
Well, thanks. And, I agree with what you said when we met. And I can't remember how many years ago it was now when we did that tour together, but it was just click, bang, light bulbs went off. And it's been wonderful to get to know you since then from that professional moment and become closer to you. It's been great.
And that's great when we can, as women, we have such complicated lives and complicated schedules. So when our professional lives and our personal lives can overlap, that's really a wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
So tell me, let's just jump right in and tell me, how did you become a breast cancer warrior? And how did you get involved in breast cancer advocacy? Obviously, as somebody who has not had breast cancer, knock wood, knock everything. So
Yes.
tell me how this came about.
Sure. So again, fortunately, yes, I've been healthy to this point in my life. And, Donica, first and foremost, it started with my mom back in 2008. Scariest, honestly, day of my life is she sat me down with my dad and said she had breast cancer. And luckily, because my mom has always been an advocate for her own health, they caught it super early. It was stage 1, and
Great.
and that was great. And they kept saying, "This is positive. We got it. We're going to nip this in the bud." And she had such a great attitude about it. So she went through her radiation treatments. She, battled through that, and then the fatigue and the side effects that came with it, and she beat it. I mean, it was a very scary time, but again, she just fought like a warrior herself, and she had a positive attitude. And ever since then, again, she's been adamant about, her checkups and going back for her mammograms and checking in with her doctors and just trying to take care of herself, as best as she can. And thank goodness she's been okay. So,
and she has you to help her through this whole process. We just had an interview a few days ago with a woman a lot of people know from the television show The Hoarders, Dorothy the organizer.
Yeah.
She's the caregiver for her sister, who unfortunately is in the terminal stages of her battle with breast cancer, which was not diagnosed early and was not originally diagnosed as a lump in the breast or an abnormality in the mammogram, but it was diagnosed once it had already spread to the colon. But the good news is, as with your mom, 97% of women diagnosed in stage 1 will be effectively cured.
Wow. Right.
So how long do you think it was till your mother felt like her normal self again after going through all of this?
Donica, that's a great question. I think what happened is, she went for daily radiation treatments, and I can't remember the exact amount of time. You probably know better just from your medical expertise. But
well, every woman is different.
Yeah. So I feel like it was definitely, 30 days longer. I'm not sure, but I know after the fact, it felt like the fatigue kind of hit her cumulatively. The beginning she was fine, and then towards the, further treatments, she started to get tired. Now that I look back, I mean, it was a while. I mean, it wasn't instantaneous. She was definitely tired, a little lethargic. I'm sure there was some kind of, slight depression or just, fear about mortality and what have you, but
which is totally normal and extremely common.
Yeah. But I would say it was a good year of her battling, so to speak. But it's kind of interesting, Donica. You talk to my mom now, and she almost kind of brushes it off and almost like, yeah, well, I went through that, but there are other people with bigger problems, and that's just my mom, but again,
and that's the attitude of, millions of women who have gone through this and other major health issues, that once it's over, it's a lot easier to put it in perspective than when you're going through the storm.
Right. So again, my mom went through all this, and it was because of her. So then I had my first mammogram. I was 38 years old. My doctor, of course, was like, absolutely, let's get you checked out. I have been, as you said, knock on every piece of wood I could find. I've been fine. I have dense breast tissue, so I had to go.
As do 40% of all women.
So that's a little nerve-wracking, right? As you know, you go in and they say, well, we just want to take a closer look, and don't worry, but we just want to take a closer look. And okay, fine, take the closer look. I might worry just a little bit.
So explain to people what a closer look has meant for you over the years.
Okay, for me, I have not had to have a biopsy at
that's
this
good.
point. It has just meant, I think the first time that happened, I had a general or basic mammogram. Then they made me have a digital or a something with a higher image, so to speak, to look. And then in more recent years, it's usually meant a sonogram as well, just to follow up. And nothing, a little uncomfortable, but nothing too painful, nothing
invasive.
Nothing invasive for me. And that's
annoying and an additional thing that you have to schedule. One of my friends who had breast cancer talked about the issue that you brought up with your mom of the fatigue.
Yes.
And she said, everybody always talks about the fatigue as though it's from the cancer or from the treatment. She said in her case, she felt like the fatigue was greatly exacerbated by the fact that you have all these extra appointments that you have to go to.
Yeah.
And you have to get
Yeah.
there, and there's traffic, and there's parking, and there's
Right.
logistics. And if you
Yeah.
think about how busy most of us feel
Mm.
all of the time with
Yeah.
all of the things on our to-do list, imagine if you had to add, getting treatment for a major serious disease like
Exactly.
cancer, especially with the emotional
Yeah.
toll that comes with being diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yeah.
Breast cancer is clearly one of the most feared diseases of all women.
Yes.
And it's also, we've all sort of heard this statistic that 1 in 8, that
Yeah.
the announcer puts on this really serious, ominous voice, or I put on my Dr. Donica voice and say, 1 in 8 women
Right.
will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. Well, the first thing I want to tell women about that statistic, that's 1 in 8 women who live to be 90. So, most of us will be very happy to live till we're 90, especially if we're living healthfully till we're 90. But many women will die of other things along the way. And it is tragic that 40,000 or more than 40,000 American women will die per year of breast cancer. But to put that in perspective, that's only 1/10 of the number of women who will die of heart disease. And I know as a fitness instructor, you're constantly talking about ways women can reduce their risk of heart disease. So we'll have to have you back another time to talk about that, because of course, 80% of the risk factors for heart disease are reducible by improvements in our behaviors and our unhealthy behaviors. Interestingly, in breast cancer, the 80% number is the opposite way around. In breast cancer, 80% of the women who've been diagnosed with breast cancer have no risk factors at all other than having breasts. And in fact, the men who are diagnosed with breast cancer don't even have breasts or breasts per se. They have breast tissue.
Yeah.
And about 1% of the people diagnosed with breast cancer are men. Most famously, Montel Williams, who had a double mastectomy and who's been a phenomenal spokesperson for the men who are diagnosed with breast cancer. And it's a little bit more than 2,000 a year. About 2,300 men a year are diagnosed with breast cancer, and about 460 of them die. So I don't want to minimize that, but for the most part, when we talk about breast cancer, we're talking about the 250,000 American women who are diagnosed per year.
Yeah.
I also want to put the 40,000 deaths per year number in perspective. And I was looking for a good way to do that. Sometimes I say that's more than 10 times the number of people who died on 9/11 per year. Sometimes I say it's more than all of the Americans who were killed in the Korean War per year. So it's a big, big number. We've done a good job in the past several years reducing the number of deaths because of early diagnosis and early treatment. And I do want to tell you that because we're talking about this, I am wearing pink for breast cancer awareness, even though I'm very cognizant of the fact that it's not Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. Right. And I have to share with you like my pet peeve about that whole concept of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. In my opinion, and I'm sure you share this, Breast Cancer Awareness Month should be every month.
Absolutely.
Not just 1 month.
Yeah,
a year.
Every day. I agree. And, Donica, the statistics, when you put them in perspective, it is overwhelming, to say the least. And, unfortunately for me, in addition to my mom, who, again, has battled through, and she's a survivor, and taught me to really, again, be adamant about my own exams, go to the doctor, get my checkups, get my mammograms, take care of myself. Very sadly, that 1 in 8 statistic hit me pretty hard. Back in 2014, one of my close friends from high school, Elizabeth, was diagnosed. She was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer in late stage. And we lost her a year ago. She was 43.
I'm so sorry. She was how old?
43.
Wow. And did she have children?
No, she did not. But she had a loving husband who, it's very interesting. Since her passing, I got to know Evan a little better. Didn't know him that well. And he's a good guy. And my friends and I from high school, it was very interesting. A lot of us, power of Facebook, right? Love it or hate it.
Mm-hmm.
You reunite with people that you haven't seen in 10 years. You find your high school classmates. And we knew her as Liz in high school, but she became Elizabeth a little later as she grew up, I guess. So I still kind of call her Liz. But we all heard about Liz's situation, and a bunch of us just kind of wanted to rally and support her. And we did, a lot of us just started to visit her, and we would drop in, and some people would maybe go with her for chemo treatments, or we just bring her some tea or what have you. And let me tell you something, though, Donica, and I'll be honest, from a medical standpoint, I don't know all of the details or specifics, but she fought with everything she could. And I mean, she went to Europe to try experimental things, freezing treatments, you name it, and she tried it. And she was also, of course, getting treatment here in New York, traditional treatments. But again, unfortunately, we lost her. And
I'm so sorry.
yeah.
I can see the pain is still, really, really, really raw.
Yeah, I miss her a lot every day. I miss her every day. But you know what? She was just such a wonderful spirit. And she also had this, hey, life's obviously too short attitude, and if you're not happy, make bold choices, whatever that might mean for you, and take care of yourself, and be kind. She was kind to everyone. So she left a lot of valuable life lessons for everyone that she encountered, me included in that. And she's always with me. And, truth be told, it's because of her. And let me back up. When my mom went through her situation, I said, I have to do something. I've got to get involved in the advocacy of get your exams or take care of yourself. But I guess I didn't jump on it, so to speak. And then when Liz got sick, my peer, it was like, okay, wait a second, there's really something.
And she was how old when she was diagnosed?
Let's see, that was 2014. So she would have been, I guess, she was 40, right?
Okay.
I'm sorry, 41.
So I just want to put on my statistician hat here.
Yeah.
I know sometimes statistics can be boring, but sometimes it can be really powerful.
Yeah.
We think of breast cancer as a disease that affects women older. And of course, your risk increases as you age. However, there are more than 12,000 women under 40 who are diagnosed with breast cancer a year. And if you think about the screening recommendations, the American College of OBGYN recommendations, which I strongly support, are that women should get an annual mammogram once they turn 40. In addition, women should have an annual clinical breast exam every year once they turn 19. And a clinical breast exam is when you go to your doctor and you get an actual breast exam. This is so important because of these over 12,000 women who are under 40. And I was just reading about a girl who was 8 years old in 2015, diagnosed with an aggressive breast cancer. She's still doing fine. Thank goodness it was caught, because nobody would think of breast cancer in an 8-year-old. And that's extremely, extremely rare. But the other number I want to tell you is that by age 45, the statistic is that 26,000 women under 45 have been diagnosed with breast cancer. So if we do the math and say, 12,500 under 40 have been diagnosed, that means that the incidence of breast cancer almost doubles between age 40 and 45. Yeah. So, that's a really critical time period, especially because, and this is like one of my pet peeves, I love the American Cancer Society, love everything that they do. The only thing they do that really annoys me is that their recommendation is that women should start having a mammogram when they're 45 and then have it every other year. So, I have a GYN background. I go with the American College of OBGYN recommendations. But of course, the punchline is the most important recommendation for every woman who's listening is what their own doctor tells them is right for them. But I do have to ask you, because your mother had breast cancer, was she tested for BRCA1 or BRCA2 genetic mutations?
I could tell you no.
Okay.
She wasn't.
So therefore you were not tested.
No. And she was the first woman in our family to have any type of cancer, for that matter. My grandparents died of other causes not related to cancer. My mother does not have a sister. So, and that's kind of where I'm at. So, who knows? It was
Right.
one of these, where did this, like you said, so many people, there's no history and it just happens.
What's interesting about the BRCA testing, and these are genetic mutations and genetic markers for breast cancer, is it's very controversial whether daughters of women with breast cancer should be tested for this or not, if it was not known that their mother had it. But it's not controversial for the woman who's already been diagnosed with breast cancer to be tested, because if she does not have it, chances are very high that you do not have it. And that would be very nice and reassuring to know, without giving us any more angst about her situation. Although women who have breast cancer who have BRCA1 or BRCA2 or 3 abnormalities may also be at increased risk for other cancers. And then their doctor might make a recommendation for them to have their ovaries removed, for example, to prevent ovarian. Did your mother have that?
No. Well, my mom had a hysterectomy many years ago for other issues.
Included taking her ovaries out.
I believe so. Yeah.
So this is interesting about hysterectomy. Hysterectomy, of course, for everybody who's listening, is the removal of the uterus. But many times doctors take out the ovaries as well at the same time. And I'm staggered by how many women who've had a hysterectomy don't know if they also had their ovaries taken out or not. And that would be very important information for every woman who's had a hysterectomy to learn that, to find out. Because of course, whether or not you have your ovaries would influence, whether or not or how much risk you would be for ovarian cancer. Right. So back to Liz. One thing that I do want to say that hopefully will bring you some comfort is that the only positive thing, or I've heard this say, I didn't make this up. I've heard this said, the only positive thing about losing someone you love is now you know the name of your guardian angel. So you had that, that feeling that Liz is with you. Her spirit is with you. And her spirit lives on as long as the people who loved her remember her and think about her. And in Judaism, we have this thing about saying their name. And every time you say their name, it sort of is a reinforcing remembrance of them. But with Liz, I know we got off the track. Did you tell me how old she was when she was diagnosed?
I'm pretty sure. I want to say 41 because again, she passed away in 2016. She was 43. So I learned of her diagnosis in 2014. So.
And do you know what stage she was at when she was diagnosed?
I believe it was stage 3. So it was pretty bad.
Pretty advanced.
It was pretty advanced at that point. So, but what you just said about her being a guardian angel, I 100% believe that. And, just my friends and I, when we get together now, just for any reason, whether it was for the holidays or for a birthday or just to get together, girls' time, right? Let's have some drinks. She always comes up, we always feel like she's with us. And I think the time that she's most with me, and along with my mother and all the other thousands of people who have fought this disease and either won or unfortunately are now a wonderful memory in all of our lives. You hinted on it earlier, were those miles that I clocked for Avon 39. Again, I wanted to get involved. I wanted to do something. And for me, I was looking to do something physical. Again,
that's what you do,
thing, right? I like to move.
And I love that photo of you. I would show it if this was video. But I love that photo of you with the pink boxing gloves on.
Oh,
yeah. Literally fighting. Yeah. You want to knock out breast cancer.
Thank you. So yeah, and I have to actually credit another high school friend, Sue. Also friends with Sue. Hey, Sue. And Sue was the one who I was like, after Liz's diagnosis, thinking, okay, what are we going to do? What can I do? What can happen? And Sue all of a sudden put something on Facebook like, hey, I just signed up for Avon 39. Who's with me? And I went, okay, this is.
Now, what does the 39 stand for?
So 39, Avon 39, 39 stands for the 39.3 miles. They don't put the 0.3 in there, but the 39 miles that you walk over a 2-day period to just fight breast cancer, raise awareness. Of course, you raise money, and the money goes to everything for research, which of course is very important. But what to me, Donica, was so great about Avon 39, the money also went, and it was local money. So the New York money, after, dollars went to research at different cancer institutes or universities, local organizations that would maybe offer meals to women who were trying to, balance their life with chemotherapy, doctor's appointments, taking care of the kids. So, hey, here's some meals for you. Mm-hmm. Or get people to and from those doctor's appointments via car services, whatever it may be. Provide babysitting for their kids while they were at these services. So there were a lot of, real life helps, if you will, that I felt that the money also went toward, which was important to me, just to know that that was what they were supporting. So we signed up in 2014, and I love to work out. I'm always exercising, but boy, walking 26 miles in a day and then going to sleep for a little bit and getting up and doing 13.
Now, where did you sleep?
Well, here's the thing. Truth be told, you have the opportunity to tent. And here in New York, they would tent when I was doing it at Randall's Island. But as you said, I'm a native New Yorker. I do live in the city, and I did go home. I went home. I did take my own shower, sleep in my bed, or collapse into my bed, whatever you want to say. But some people, hey, they really did the rustic thing. They camped in the tent, slept on the grass, had the porta potty experience the whole time, and the portable showers and all that good stuff. So you can do either or. And
I'd like to say at this point in my life, my version of camping is sleeping in a hotel with the windows open.
The glamping, right? I think that's what some people call it. Glamping.
That's a great term.
So Donica, you and I would go glamping if we ever did that. I'm all for that.
So where does the number 39.3 come in? That seems kind of random.
It's a really great question. And I've done all this. I've been looking, and I never found the answer to that question, Donica. It's kind of like, where did they come up with 39? So I'm sorry I don't have the answer for that one. But it's a great journey, and we went all around New York. I saw parts of the city I'd never really paid attention to before. And the last walk that we did, and Sue and I have done this together now for four times. Mm-hmm. The last one we did, though, we went to Boston, because the New York one this past October, I actually couldn't be there because I had another very important responsibility. One of my 3 beautiful goddaughters was making her confirmation. So she asked me to be her sponsor. I had to be there. I couldn't miss that. But I also knew, because we had lost Liz, I had to walk somewhere. It didn't matter where, and Boston worked out. So we went to Boston. That was a great experience too. New people, new city, new sights. My cousin lives up there, so I got to spend some time with her and her guys.
And what a great way to see a new city.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And we had beautiful weather. It was a little hot on one of the days, but it was beautiful weather. So, it's been an amazing experience. And we met along those paths every year. We met everyone that you touched on earlier, whether it was people like us who had relatives, or lost a friend, a peer. There were men. There was one man named Mike who's walked something like, I don't know, Donica, ever since this thing started 20 somewhat years ago, because his son had breast cancer.
Oh, wow. So
again, we met a man who was affected by breast cancer in the unique way that most people think of it. And the great news, though, is that we met a lot of survivors, and just fierce people.
I'm not even using the term survivor anymore, because I feel like that implies like a victimhood and something happened to you and you had to get through it. I'm liking conquerors, cancer conquerors.
I like conqueror.
I think that's more positive, and it kind of goes with this warrior thing.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about the whole warrior concept and how we talk about people like Liz, who fought, we say she fought everything, and she fought a terrible battle, and she did everything she could. It almost implies that if you lose your battle to cancer, that it's somehow because you didn't fight hard enough, or you didn't do enough, or you didn't go to try enough experimental therapies, or maybe you tried too many experimental therapies when what you really needed was rest and to just stay the course. But sometimes you just can't win this fight. And I don't want people to feel that their relatives didn't fight hard enough, or there was something more that they can do. We get very judgy. Interestingly, I've heard this from a lot of people with lung cancer, because of course, we tend to be very judgy about lung cancer because 70% of lung cancer patients are smokers or have been smokers or were smokers. However, 30% of patients with lung cancer never touched a cigarette in their lives. And, those people are, very understandably annoyed by that whole judginess. And I think the reason we do that is we like to think there was something you did, because then that means that protects us if we didn't do that. Of course, there are many risk factors, as we discussed, to breast cancer, the most common being female and having breasts. Of course, the next most common is having a family history of breast cancer or just being over 50. It's very controversial what the role of taking hormone replacement therapy is in fueling breast cancers. We know that there are estrogen-sensitive breast cancers that are fueled by hormone replacement therapy. But again, the overwhelming majority of women who have breast cancer never touched an estrogen pill. And they don't have that connection. But are you familiar with, and you must be familiar, we haven't talked about this, but you must be familiar with the data about regular exercise and reducing your risk of breast cancer. So talk to me about that.
Well, what I love about exercise, not just for breast cancer, Donica, is that I feel like almost everything I read about, whether it's breast cancer, diabetes, right? Or you already touched on the heart disease. Exercise is one of the best things you can do for your body as far as just keeping your immune system strong. And they've shown that, exercise is I don't know if it's a deterrent is the right word, but it does help prevent, or it's one of these things that really bolsters your chances of avoiding getting or certain diseases, just kind of keeping your body strong.
Well, reducing your risk for those diseases. The other thing that it does certainly is improve your mental health.
Heck yeah.
So regular aerobic exercise can reduce your risk of depression significantly and is as effective a treatment for mild depression as antidepressants. Obviously, when you get to moderate or severe depression, that you definitely need talk therapy as well as medical therapy. And there's nothing wrong with that. We also know that people who have chronic illnesses, whether it's cancer, including breast cancer, they are more likely to be depressed. And everybody says, well, of course they're depressed. They have cancer. But interesting data shows that when we treat the depression, they're also better able to overcome whatever chronic illness it is. So, I really want to urge anybody who has any chronic illness not to just not treat their depression because you say, oh, of course I have depression. I have this major illness. But with breast cancer, the role of exercise in reducing your risk of breast cancer is in reducing your BMI.
Exactly.
So when or your body mass index. So when you reduce your body fat, you're less likely to get breast cancer. But also, are you familiar with, this is really bad news to a lot of women. If you lower your alcohol intake, you can also lower your risk of breast cancer. And I was shocked when that study came out that only 3 drinks a week could increase your risk of breast cancer significantly. So that is actually something that women need to really be aware of. The other thing that I'm really calling attention to, especially for those of us like you and I who like our glass of wine on a regular basis, when we're in New York, a glass of wine is 6 to 9 ounces.
Right.
A medical unit of wine or a serving, when we say 3 drinks a week, what we really mean is 3 to 5 ounces. So a woman who's having a 6 to 9 ounce glass of wine is really having 2 glasses of wine. So please, 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 even though you think I only had 1 glass of wine, don't drive. Because of course, driving fatalities are far worse and affect people much younger than breast cancer fatalities. But, also it does increase your risk of breast cancer. And of course, I'm always harping on the smokers. Smoking increases every type of cancer, and breast cancer is no exception. I used to do this really terrible manipulative thing when I was practicing medicine. I had a lot of patients who smoked, and I was getting nowhere by talking to them about their risk of lung cancer or their risk of heart disease. So I started just saying, which breast are you prepared to lose? And it
Wow.
was very manipulative. And I even had some women who were really just difficult in terms of stopping smoking. I had them actually write in the chart. And in those days, most patients never saw their medical chart
Right.
or read it, but I would have them write a statement in the chart, which was very powerful, saying, Dr. Moore has informed me that if I continue to smoke, my risk of breast cancer is increased.
Wow.
And that was very powerful.
Yeah.
When I started having older patients, what I talked to them about is the effect of smoking on wrinkles. And that seemed to be the most effective.
Look at that.
That
Don't
was
worry
the
about the
most
cancer.
effective message.
My face, wrinkles. Yeah.
That if you smoke, forget about heart disease, lung cancer.
Yeah.
If you smoke, your risk of wrinkles will increase.
That's amazing. But it's, what you said, though, I mean, it is amazing.
It's what works.
Yeah, you go with what works, right. But what does work, as you said, I mean, to me, exercise really is just, it's like laughter. It's wonderful, wonderful medicine. And, especially now this time of year, it's winter, people have the blahs in general. So I say, go to the gym, or if you can't get to a gym, just do some exercise in your house. Just get your blood flowing. There really is something to be said.
Or go to the mall.
Yeah,
and
very good. Go to the mall.
Yeah, the malls.
Yeah.
I'm here in suburban New Jersey.
Yeah.
The malls, many of them open early for these walking programs, so you're not tempted to stop and shop.
Yeah.
But mall walking is great so long as you don't walk through the food court.
Yes, don't go to the Cinnabon.
Or Aunt Annie's.
Right, exactly. Yeah, or
resist all of those things. When my children were little, and my daughter was born in the winter, in one of the worst winters we ever had. 4 weeks after she was born, we had a three feet of snow.
Oh my gosh!
A snowstorm. But I would go to the mall and walk her in the stroller and just walk through the mall, which was a great way, and it's free.
Yes, exactly.
A lot of people. Obviously, I am the queen of excuses for not exercising, so I understand that mentality. I always say, if you need to rationalize anything, come to me, and I will come up with an excuse for you.
Monica's got it.
But, everybody has their own excuses. And of course, one of the very real excuses for a lot of people is I don't have the money to join.
Sure. Absolutely.
So I have been really trying to talk to people about ways to exercise that are free.
Yeah.
And certainly walking 39.3 miles is great exercise. And you can walk anywhere.
Yes, you can.
For free. Of course, for those of us in the Northeast who are or in other places that are challenged by terrible weather conditions, walking outside may not be the safest.
Exactly.
And that's why these mall walking programs are fabulous. And having a buddy, even you as Fitness Laura, who, is unbelievably fit, you have your buddy Sue who does these programs with you.
Yeah.
So tell me, speaking of walking, how's this for a segue? Tell me about how you got involved with Project Runway and what that was all about.
Okay. So very interesting. That was an extremely, again, a once in a lifetime experience, Donica. And again, that was through Avon 39. What happened was, I happened to be in Boston for the walk I was telling you about, and this was in June this past year, so June of 2017. I can't believe it's 2018, but yes, June of 2017. And I was at the hotel a day before things really started, and I was just hanging out, getting some coffee, and I saw a bunch of the Avon 39 staff, if you will, with their shirts on. So of course, I'm so shy, right? I walked, hey, how are you?
One of the many things I love about you.
Hey, I'm Laura. I'm so excited to walk, blah, blah, blah. And I just started chatting with these women. And I had actually, to back up a second, I had offered in years past, I always put myself on their list. They ask if you would be willing to talk to the media to do interviews, because they don't want to put anyone on the spot if they're just like, no. So I was already kind of on the radar of a PR friendly walker who could maybe talk to local media if needed. I also, truth be told, I did a photo shoot with them a couple of years ago, and I was on the website. I have a screen grab somewhere of me with my fists up on the page where they talked about.
I love that picture.
That was kind of cool. So anyway, when I talked to these women in Boston, they said, all of a sudden, one of them said to me, we have something coming up that you might be interested in. And I'm like, okay, sure. And she just asked, are you going to be around such and such weekend in July? And I looked at my iPhone real fast and I said, yeah, I don't have anything in my calendar. So they said, well, we'll be in touch. So next thing I know, I'm getting an email. There's this whole non-disclosure situation going on. But the bottom line was this season of Project Runway was doing an episode which captured fashion that displayed the warrior spirit. And Avon provided the makeup for all of the episodes this year. So as part of that, they also got this episode to talk a little bit about the Avon Breast Cancer Crusade. And they chose, I think there were 6 of us, am I correct now? Yes, they chose a handful of women who had been involved in Avon 39, and 2 of them were survivors, and young women, by the way. One woman was, she's just gonna be 40, and she's had breast cancer twice.
Wow.
Beat it. And we all got to be on this episode, and we met Tim Gunn, who is the most wonderful person. He's just as charming in person as he is on TV. And yeah, we got to go to a real boxing ring in Brooklyn, and we sweat all day because it was so hot, Donica, and there was no air conditioning. We're all like melting, but yeah.
Well, that must have been great for your makeup.
Oh yeah, it was. And it was so funny because they said, come in your workout clothes. So we all had like black yoga pants on, and they gave us these cute little pink Avon shirts. And then they wanted us to do some boxing for B-roll, for video. And I mean,
Little did they know that you had been a boxing instructor.
Well, but P.S. Donica, I'm sorry. I am definitely one of these women. I sweat. Okay. I don't glisten.
You don't glisten.
No, I just really sweat. My shirt at one point was soaking wet, and like in between takes I literally had to run to the bathroom, and I'm like using an air dryer, and I'm like, oh
yay, we have a ladies room connection.
Oh man, see, there you go. So we're all in there like we're trying to like dry our armpits and the stomach and like in between the breasts, and it's like, oh, this is really,
I'm guessing these t-shirts were t-shirt fabric as opposed to the quick dry fabric.
This is so funny. I love the shirt, by the way. It's so cute, but it's kind of in between, and it's a pink, and it's light pink. So if it was a black shirt,
right,
I could have sweat, buckets, hairs. But here we are in these pink, cute Avon shirts with just, globs of everything on it. But it was a very cool experience. Avon got to talk a little bit about their mission. We were kind of just decorations, if you will, on the side, but it was an amazing experience.
Enhancements.
Enhancements. Thank you. I like
Supporters.
that. Enhancements.
Breast cancer warriors.
Yeah.
So I am delighted and I remember very clearly when Avon announced that they were going to champion breast cancer awareness. And I remember Andrea Young was the CEO of Avon. She was one of the first women CEOs at a major corporation. Fellow Princeton graduate. She's also on my list of people to call who I'd love to talk to on this podcast. So Andrea, if you're listening, you can call me. She's fabulous, and it was just a phenomenal initiative. But what I'm really upset with Avon about now is you're telling me that they're discontinuing this walk. What is that all about?
So, I got the email. We all did. Any walker. It was funny. So the Project Runway episode that we were on aired in late October. And I think literally it was a couple of weeks later. So sometime in November, I get this email, and it's, hello, Avon supporter. And I'm reading along, and all of a sudden, it came to a paragraph of 2017 was the last Avon 39 walk. And
any explanation?
They say that they're redirecting their efforts or their focus. They are not. Let me say this, because I very, very much believe in their crusade. They're not stopping the crusade for breast cancer. My non-professional opinion, as someone who's never organized that kind of a production, is I'm sure that the operational costs have probably just blown up, so to speak, and they're looking for maybe better ways to, not bleed money, but still be able to support, obviously, the breast cancer crusade. So that being said, Donica, they did say to us in the spring of 2018, which hopefully isn't too far away. Come on.
Hey, it was 50 degrees here yesterday, but then it's going to be 4 again tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't think about that stuff. In the spring, they said they will be announcing a new initiative. Now,
great.
That could be another walk. It could be, who knows what that means. It's just, will it be a 2-day, 39-mile journey? I mean, I'm thinking probably not, but
Okay.
hey, or look, I'm being optimistic. Maybe it'll be one walk, 39 miles, and only in New York or only in Chicago. Like they'll pick one.
Or maybe
I
it'll
don't
be
know.
something completely different. So
Something totally different.
to all the Avon people, we
Yes,
want
stay
to
tuned.
thank them for their support
Yes.
of breast cancer awareness initiatives.
Yes.
And we want them to contact us as soon as they have this announcement.
Exactly.
And, I would be happy to talk to any of the Avon people about what they're planning for future breast cancer awareness initiatives.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are running out of time. Okay. Actually, we already ran out of time.
Okay, well,
and
too much fun.
We didn't get to talking about the topic that I really wanted to talk about. In addition, I mean, obviously, talking about breast cancer awareness is so important.
Yeah.
And you have so much to share for so many of our listeners. I do want to invite all of our listeners to send us questions. You can be available. I can be available on Twitter, on Facebook. Use the hashtag in the ladies room. And I've said I will answer any tweet that comes with the hashtag in the ladies room. So we can ask people can ask us all kinds of questions, but we will have to have you come back another time to talk about this great story that you have about dating after divorce. Or
I would love
40.
to. Yeah.
We also have Sally Higginson coming on in the next couple of weeks. She's a writer for the Chicago Tribune, and I describe her as the Irma Bombeck of our generation.
Oh, fabulous.
And she has a great topic. She's going to be discussing losing your virginity after divorce.
Ooh. Wow.
So we'll have to both have you weigh in on that.
I think so. I like that.
And I'm not going to give away your punchline of your story by telling anybody that you're recently engaged. So congratulations.
Thank
I'm
you.
not telling anybody except, of course, the thousands of people around the world.
Thank you, Donica.
But it's not a secret because you already posted on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
That means it's official. So congratulations. And I wish you and James every happiness. But before I let you go,
yes, dear.
There's a couple of questions that I like asking all of our guests at the end of our interviews. One of which is, and you may have already answered this, but one of which is, what is the most interesting or bizarre or different or memorable or unique experience you ever had in the ladies' room?
In the ladies' room?
And maybe it was blow drying your armpits at the Avon shoot.
Yeah, I have to be honest with you. I really think that's up there, Donica, because and it wasn't just me. What was fun about that is it was the other supporters, as you said, and we're all in there, like literally either blow drying our armpits. Some people, we're trying to fix our hair, which is now curled up to just a perm, basically, a mascara that's dripping down our eyes. And we're all just like, yeah, we look like real warriors here. Well, yeah, we do.
Maybe that was their objective.
Yeah. So that was a fun moment, and it was a bonding moment too. So it was definitely unique.
Well, I think that is what really inspired me to do this podcast and to call it In the Ladies' Room with Dr. Donica, is because we do have so many of those bonding moments in the ladies' room. Or, of course, when we talk about fitness. Just yesterday, we launched our podcast with Olympic champion Nancy Hogshead.
Yes.
And so I made this announcement that we're expanding the concept of the ladies' room to include all of our locker room stories. We've heard a lot in the past year about men and quote unquote locker room talk.
Oh, yeah.
But, women's locker room talk is generally very empowering and very supportive. And you could have these amazing conversations with somebody who you never met before, but who you've seen 17 times on the elliptical machine. Exactly.
And I, real quickly, I'll just tell you, when I'm in the locker room after a gym class, there are women there. Again, I only see them at classes, right? But I feel like I know so much about them because in 3 minutes of us changing into our street clothes or whatever, is your divorce final yet? Is your kid okay? Did he get into that school? Whatever. Is your mom okay? Is she out of the hospital? There's these extremely intimate details that you snip it in 3 minutes that you may not even talk about that with a friend.
You may not even know the person's name.
No, but
they know everything about whatever is going on in your life.
Exactly.
And I felt that way when I was in medical school. I religiously attended a aerobics class 3 times a week.
Yeah.
One of the things I loved about it is none of the women were in medical school. I didn't know any of them in medical school. They were from all other walks of life. And they really were my support group.
That's great.
Which, going through something like medical school, you really need your sisters.
Yes.
One of the things that I recently heard that my daughter told me is she said, maybe our girlfriends are really supposed to be our soulmates. And I thought that was really, powerful, impactful.
That's very true.
And actually, of course, Jana, my next question that I ask every guest actually came from her on her 21st birthday. She asked me this question. And the question is, if you could give any piece of health advice to your 21-year-old self, what would it be?
Oh, Laura, listen to your body. If it's hurting, take a day off. If it's hurting more than it should, go see a doctor. Donica, my biggest mistake in life was just pushing. I got to burn off that beer from the party or whatever it might be. And I mean, I've been lucky. I'm okay overall. But I don't know. I just think that, you're that age and you're invincible. You're indestructible. And I know it's a hard mindset to adapt, but it's just really pay a little bit more attention to your body. If it's telling you need to rest that night, maybe you don't go out for the 5th night in a row. Seriously, it's just, and I know this is, I don't mean to sound like this old lady who doesn't love to go out anymore, because I definitely do. But
you better not try to sound like the old lady, because I'm older than you.
No. So you know what I'm saying. It's just be a little bit kinder to what your body might be telling you. If you need to sleep, sleep. If you don't, if something's off in your gait or your muscle is not really healing, do something about it, because it could just come back and bite you in the butt later on. I found that out. So that
is great advice. And I'm going to end this there with just one final question. Where can people find you?
So people can find me. Thanks for asking that. My blog again is lauralovesfitness.com. And I am on Twitter and on Instagram as Fitness Laura. And I also have a Facebook page. And if you go to my blog, there's like little tabs at the top of the page and you'll find all that. Oh, and I have a YouTube channel too. So
yay.
Laura D Loves Fitness.
So as I said at the beginning, you are everywhere. You have a fabulous message. It's so empowering. I know our listeners have loved listening to you, but not nearly as much as I have.
Thank you.
The advantage I have over them is I get to call you whenever I feel like it.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming to talk with us in the ladies' room. And please come back another time and we'll talk about dating over.
Yes. Looking forward to it, Donica. Thank you, friend. This was wonderful.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's all we have time for today. But let's keep the conversation going on Twitter or Facebook at Dr. Donica. And please join us next week for another episode of In the Ladies' Room with Dr. Donica. Real conversations with real women about really intimate topics.